Good evening, Free Enterprise fans. We have a race coming to you from the Schultz group tonight between Sathdresh at 0-2 and BursikBadger at 1-1.
Hey, and I am Moonblaze Wolf. I'm doing commentary with my good friend Commander Leonhardt tonight, and we are really excited to bring you this match. It's a pretty important match, really, for both runners. BursikBadger, here on the right, is looking for that 2-1 to move on to the Magma group, which offers more opportunities to get to the table phase. And Sathdresh, honestly, I would say when you're 0-2, you really just want to get a win on the board. I'm sure Sathdresh really just wants to get that W tonight, going into the Hook group either way, but wants to go in with a win under his belt. So, Commander, what do you think about this match we got coming up? I see some objectives here on the screen.
I see our friendly neighborhood bard as a starting character, and that's a nice bit of spice, particularly when two of the objectives are wide open in the overworld. Complete Mount Ordeals, defeat the boss of Mist Cave. It could end up being pretty quick, and having that Eddy on hand, if either of our runners are versed in Eddy strats, could be very useful.
Yeah, for sure. So for those who have not been watching a ton of the Highway to the Threemus Zone races, our runners have to complete 3 of those 4 listed objectives. I think it's pretty safe to say both runners are going to do number 2 and number 3 because, as you were saying, Commander, they do not require anything additional from the start of the seed. So conceivably, if our runners wanted to, they could go do those right away, provided they had the power to do so. And then 1 and 4 are gated by key items. Number 1 is forging the Excalibur with the Legend Sword and the Adamant, so that requires 2. Waking Yang with the pan only requires the pan, so depending on where that pan is, things could be pretty quick. These objectives do require that our runners get underground, so they are going to have to find either the Magma Key or the Hook, and then they're going to need to find a way to Threemus, which is going to be either the Pass item or the Darkness Crystal. So I know that maybe sounds like a lot, but the way these seeds go, plus where things might be, for example, that underground access has to be in that first cluster of checks. The Darkness Crystal can't be on the moon, obviously, so it has to be somewhere on the blue planet. So depending on how all these things fall into place, this could be a really fast one, and it looks like we're off.
Yeah, there's definitely potential for it to go quick. Seed always has room for a troll, though. We've got Yang and another Yang. And there's the pan right away.
Wow. Okay. And we've got a Yang to bonk Yang with the pan. So okay, this is potentially looking fast. It really depends on where that Darkness Crystal is, how we're going to get underground, and who's standing in between us and there. So
if there's a Magma Key on Ordeals, then that's about as jetty as it gets.
So, Commander, what do you think our runners are going to be wanting to do here? I'm sure the adrenaline has now kicked in. They know they're really only need to get underground and get that Threemus access for go mode. So, what do you think we're going to see here?
Probably some quick character checks and somewhat traditional early looting. And their shoes, I'd want to build up a party that I felt could scale ordeals, and that's not something to dive into immediately. This Rosa in the Watery Pass is going to be a big help.
Yeah, Rosa, you definitely want to have a white mage in this format. Rosa's, I think most runners would tell you the better option of the 2/3, maybe 2.5 white mages that you could hope to find. So I'm sure both of our runners are pretty happy to see that Rosa there, as well as maybe finding some good loot here. I didn't see anything to knock your socks off, but it's nice to find that Rosa. That's probably the biggest prize already.
Agreed. I mean, definitely nothing to knock your socks off. In other flag sets, that diamond ring would be appealing, but T Wildish hands out so many good rings that it does make the diamond ring a bit lackluster.
Indeed. I think another interesting thing that I'm going to be watching for early here, just as kind of an indication of our runner's comfort level with those Edward strats that you mentioned earlier, I'm going to be really curious to see how they build their party. So if they want to keep Edward around, maybe hope for a spoon, maybe just feeling like they want to try that Edward strats, or maybe they're going to get railroaded into an Edward as they found a second one, as well as a second Yang here in Mysidia. So Oof, this party's power level pretty low here off the beginning.
Exactly, Antidale. Hope you liked your starting pair, because that's exactly what you've got in Mysidia waiting for you. Oh my goodness.
We've already had Edward, but can we interest you in second Edward?
I don't know where that mute knife came from that Bursik had. That's a nice find. There are a lot of bosses that are mage types, and the mute damage deals a lot of... The mute dagger, rather, deals a lot of extra damage to them. Sorry, distracted by yet another doubled up character in Damsian.
Yeah, it's like Bogo Knight here at Free Enterprise Land. I think that Mute Dagger came from the Watery Pass, as long as a Fire Sword, which I did see Bursik sell just now. So kind of interesting. Bursik going back for second helpings of Watery Pass here, going to get this second easy cluster of loot. Well, maybe. Looks like maybe the chests are not going to have any. They're all empty. All right, never mind then. It should be worth noting that only 60% of the non-trap chests in the seed, or I'm sorry, 60% of the chests or treasure spots in the seed are filled. So our runners are going to see a lot of those empty chests. Sathdresh finding Sid on Mount Hobbs. I didn't catch the boss was. That was a pretty quick reset, which I'm frankly a little bit surprised about. Maybe the boss was rude.
Same. Well, the boss was a sparkle, which is why I'm really surprised by the quick reset. You maybe take just a couple more seconds to see which sparkle it is, but he reset out before we could get into that fight.
Yeah, that's very true. It could have been very useful information for him. I think the reason I like maybe the idea of picking up that Sid, and I understand too, you are committing to a boss fight there, so that is a good reason maybe to say no. But Sid gives you a little bit more diversity in your party setup. None of these early characters that you have right now have any real DPS potential. Sid on his own is pretty durable, has decent DPS, and can actually equip a fair number of pretty powerful axes in particular that you might be picking up in your early looting. So we'll see if Sathdresh eventually doubles back. He did go here to Mysidia to check those other characters. Maybe was hoping for something a little bit better than a Sid, but honestly, Sid might be our best early option here for DPS in the early game.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and I completely agree with you that Ordeal's objective is looming large, and bosses on the bridge can sometimes be a bit rude, and Sid's early hit points and damage from the hammer, or if you pick up one of those axes you mentioned, could make a huge difference.
Yep, indeed. And I saw Bursik came across Kanazo there in the waterfall in his natural habitat. Doesn't need that, so resets out. I'm also kind of curious. Our runners are going to get some more loot here. They should be able to handle Antlion without too much trouble. I'm kind of curious. A play that I've kind of got into liking a little bit, especially in the beginning of a seed like this. There is one more free character that our runners could potentially check. It only takes a few seconds, and you can reset out if you don't really like it. But that's on Ordeals, and I would have been really curious to see one of our two runners head up there to Ordeals just to peek that character before doing anything else.
Yeah, that would be a perfectly valid play. Objectives, doing your objectives is definitely something you want to get out of the way, because sometimes they lead you into more things you can get to. So assembling a party and then immediately tagging Mist and Ordeals just to get them checked off wouldn't have surprised me. But duck into Antlion to get the key item and some levels is by no means bad.
Yeah, another reason it might have been, and I don't think our runners are going to put off Mist Cave for too long, but when you get through Mist Cave, you're going to have to defeat that boss, and there's potentially some more good treasure chests waiting behind that boss as well, so...
Yeah, just a few, but they have a good chance of rolling some high-tier loot, and it's definitely worth a duck in when you're done to see what's there. Bursik's making their way down into the sandy pit, and we're getting a look at the boss that's inhabiting, and it is a different sparkle. This one's not so bad.
We hope. This is again not the greatest DPS for this party. I think it's going to be okay, but we see
Oh dear.
Bursik actually going for the self-party kill here.
Bursik is having a lot of trouble reaching into the back row of his own party with those yanks to put down his bard.
I mean, usually the DPS you have is defeating the monster, and here we're seeing the DPS problem being your own party.
But he does manage it, and it's not a terrible thing that a couple of people on his side fell down before he could get the count refreshed. Now we can just life them calmly one at a time.
Yeah, that was pretty fortunate for him that only 2 of his party members fell, because I think it would have been a much slower situation if he had lost all 4 there. So he can start getting a little bit of damage going here. One thing of note is Plague is weak to arrows, so those Rosa Plinks, while still not impressive, are doing more damage than they would be normally, so should be enough to power through here. Also, I see Invenerable in chat, and I just saw that Harp do a cool, like, 40-some damage. Is the music considered a flying weapon? Because now I really want to know.
I want to say no, but
see, I feel like it should be no.
I don't care to wager any money on it.
I mean, the numbers were impressive. Bursik's Edward was digging deep there. Maybe it was a crit. I'm not sure, but either way, big props to Edward there.
Edward, living the dream with the Dreamer Harp. I'd like to apologize to the runners for inflicting a bit of curse on them by saying, this won't be that bad. My mistake.
I think in most situations it wouldn't be, but this party's DPS is just so incredibly low. And again, it really just shows again the importance possibly of picking up that Sid. Ooh, Bursik gets through and is rewarded with the hook. That's his underground access as well as another character check. So that is probably a very welcome sight for Bursik right now.
If the party can get some more help, yes. I'm not sure how welcome it feels to him with having just struggled through the Antland spot and thinking about how much tougher the hook route can be, but it is at least something you're going to have to get sooner or later.
Is that the alt gauntlet at the
is.
Mist Cave boss?
It is. It's the rudest thing you can do to that objective is to give it this.
All right, now I'm going to take back my comment that our runners are probably going to do this right away. If it was me, I would be resetting and I would be waiting until I had just any kind of character that could do AoE damage, because, I mean, it's not like Sathdresh is going to have any problem taking this out, but it's going to take a lot longer than it would be if you could use, like, Edge's Flame or, Tella's Virus even. Just these monsters do not have a lot of hit points, so...
I suspect that for the last 2 fights where there are 6 monsters, we're actually going to see a Yang kick.
Oh man, that's a good call. Kick would be really useful to use here, actually, and double kick. Actually, he could do double kick. So
yeah,
I mean, kick does occasionally have its uses. You gotta think outside the box every once in a while. Meanwhile, we see Bursik doing some shopping here. I think that was a pretty good shop that Bursik found here in Silvera. I saw cabins, I believe, life potions.
I saw some charm and mute arrows in the weapon shop that he picked up. That's going to significantly improve the DPS of his party.
Yeah, good call on the arrows too, especially with these 2 roses. That might actually be the main DPS for our characters or our parties for a while here. Mute arrows are not the greatest on their own, but there are some pretty notable bosses that have weakness to that mage killing effect. Same with charm arrows, a little bit stronger, have some racial implications that our runners could potentially exploit, especially if the seed gets rude and they do end up having to do something like the Eblin Castle trap chests, for example. I could see those charm and mute arrows coming in really, really handy.
And we have a hook, so those chests are probably looming large in Bursik's mind.
Yeah, you got to think so. I do like Bursik playing pretty disciplined here, doing those shop checks. I think Bursik is kind of doing a loop here to check some shops and then check some other spots that he is interested in. So he is going to check Hobbs here. It would not surprise me. He's kind of making his way back to that hovercraft. So I do think he is thinking, I need to improve my party. And the best way to improve your party here is to do these character checks for sure.
Yeah, with all the free characters, it can be pretty easy to get into a rhythm where you often end up fading Hobbs, but definitely heads up to make sure he doesn't leave it behind, needing those improvements.
Yeah, and if nothing else, again, you do get to see who the Sparkle is. If it was like Ogopogo or something, you probably reset, but this is not a bad fight in this format, especially with the Yangs are very powerful here, as well as the starter kit that you get. So you can throw some Cure 2 potions, you can Power Punch with Flame Claws. This shouldn't be too bad for Bursik. Sathdresh, by the way, does get through that Mist Cave Gauntlet. I don't think any of those chests, those close-by chests, were optional, or were available, though. But probably picked up a couple levels there, which could really help out with these next couple things that he decides to do. So way to power through that alt gauntlet and get that objective checked off.
First runner on board with an objective, and he's going to leave Hobbs alone for now, and instead head over to Fabul to get that key item.
Bursik getting through with a combined 7 hit points left there to the. I think Bursik survived via rounding error at that D-Lunar spot because of the way it does 20 or 25%. If you got the correct number of hit points, you're gonna get an extra 1 every time, and it's gonna leave you just hanging on there.
Completely agree. And Antlion's wandering in to Fabul. Antlion can be cranky in some spots with his angry counters, but a lot of people in this party don't use the fight command to deal damage, so Sathdresh shouldn't have to deal with too many of those.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. It is a lot of damage to chew through again, though. So we'll see. I think, yeah, it did do the power command there with Yang, and that should help a little bit.
I think we're going to see a very good demonstration of how much this shopping is going to help Bursik when he gets into his fight, and his roses are able to fire much better arrows at this antline.
Yeah, very true. Plus, I think that Sid is going to help out. Sid also, again, that survivability, not to be taken lightly. Another reason why Bursik may have opted to come here after that pretty rough D-Lunars fight is he gets a free heal. So his party is all back on their feet, full and ready to go now, which is also very useful.
I don't see Prey that often.
I think Bursik moved the bow over to his Sid and maybe didn't move it back. I'm not totally sure, but yeah, you definitely don't see that very often.
I've done some silly things mismenuing. I learned that you can reflect bear off a wall thanks to a mismenu, and I'm not sure how bad that Z fight was, but things are going to happen.
You know, it's good to learn from your mistakes, right?
Oh, definitely. Sathdresh just working his way through, like comments you made about Sid's survivability. He hasn't taken any shots yet, but it'd be hard to imagine Antlion putting him down, and Sathdresh already has a couple of people on the floor.
Yeah, and just that damage is a little bit better too. I think Sid was hitting for maybe 300 a shot. He's in the back row. He's got a little bit more survivability here, and we see Bursik just kind of lap Sathdresh on this fight, unfortunately, and get this check done a little bit faster. We'll see what the payoff is and how much that matters. I do think that hook in Antlion. Oh my goodness, that was not what I was expecting to see. Okay then.
Oh, about that hook route. Not gonna have to worry about that now.
Nope, we are going to be headed straight underground via the magma key, so no need for that hook route, although it would not surprise me to see our runners check the character still at some point. We'll see. Also a shop, potentially. That is a gated shop, so it could have much better items. And I think you're going to want to see both of our runners, as soon as they get underground, try to get some grinding done to gain some levels for this party that is just really, really struggling to dish out the damage here.
And another reason that, definitely several reasons that could make that hook dive, as you've pointed out. There's the character to see that we could use here. The Eblin shop has 2 different tier 5 items to give a chance for the sirens that, if no edge turns up, will make grinding a lot better. If we don't find an edge, and if sirens manage to hide from all of the shops that we have access to, then that could very well be the most interesting part of the scene.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'll be very important for our runners here these next couple minutes. The pan check's going to be important. Making some progress on their levels is going to be important. Good job, Sathdresh, getting through that fight as well. He's going to get paid off big time here, and I'm sure that's going to feel really good to see that magma key. Because at this point, our runners are really just they're a run down to Yang and ordeals away from getting the crystal, and then it's just going to be getting that darkness crystal, which it is very possible could be at one of those 3 pan checks or on top of ordeals. So we could be in full go mode very, very soon here.
And speaking of ordeals, neither runner has checked there for a character either.
I think that's an easy one to forget. I'm not surprised, but at the same time, for people who are watching who are just like, oh, this party is terrible, how could they get out of this? They could have gone in. That ordeals character is there. There could be like an edge or a cane. We've had some pretty decent cane weapons so far. A palom would go a long way right now to getting some increased damage. So it might not be something you want to do every race, but I think in this case it would have been a very heads up play, even if it didn't pay off.
Yeah, when things start opening up, there's a lot of good things to do, and certainly every runner has their preference, and I haven't seen either runner skip over anything that seems to be terribly jarring and horrible. There's certainly nothing wrong with getting your objectives taken care of, as we see Bursik doing, and Sathdresh probably doing a right behind.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to want to do this pan check right away. And again, especially a race like this, again, look at those objectives. They know as soon as you get underground, you're going to have access to your crystal. So, I mean, the adrenaline's pumping, you're moving fast. You know that every second really counts. So, you definitely play seeds like this a little bit differently than one where it's like, there's a lot more stuff potentially involved too. So
Bursik probably hoping that pan check was going to give darkness or pass, because that's the only thing the runners need now. But Stardust Rod, not what this party needs, but if that palom you mentioned should turn up, that'll be very well.
I think, honestly, for this party, Stardust Rod plus anything would be... Sathdresh finds another Sid. I'm sorry, I have to...
It's alright, I'm right there with you. Have we now seen 8 characters in literal 4 pairs, or am I missing something?
Nope, you're right. Although it should be noted, we have not seen the Baron in character. But yeah, we've seen 8 characters. We've had 2 packs of everybody, so... Wow. I missed Job Dwarf. Bursik went really, really fast.
Ceiling tile something, I think.
Nice. Deshmoo in chat asking, have they checked Dwarf Castle yet? Nope, Bursik literally got underground. Sathdresh has opted to come up here to Ordeals instead of going underground, so...
And they might not want that dwarf castle anytime soon if they're going to keep looking for characters. We do have the warp glitch on, which means if you have someone in your party that knows warp, then when you finish dwarf castle, you can warp back into the throne room and get the sealed cave check while you're at it. But we're running out of chances to find a black mage fast.
And there's just a lot more stuff I think our runners are going to want to do before that point, both because there's characters there and objectives there. So, I mean, I would expect, although there is a character at Dwarf Castle, we haven't figured out a good way to grind yet. I think all else being equal, you probably want to get this pan done, do ordeals, do Baron in, give yourself your required objectives, give yourself another chance at a character. Bursik's found 2 really good weapons, by the way, running down here into the Fame Arch. He's got a Murasame and a defense sword now. And go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just saying a vanilla rat tail in the chest.
Pretty important, though. Bursik has the hook. Sathdresh does not. So if Sathdresh continues to fade Antlion, that is going to be potentially a big problem if that rat tail is, in fact, where the Darkness Crystaller passes.
Yep. Just looking for that either or for that last key item, and every one that you can unlock makes life a little better for you. Sura proving to be very rude. She can definitely be rude on ordeals. We've seen DPS struggles before, and going after her with feeling light on the DPS is definitely going to be rough.
It's extra frustrating too, because I know both of our runners have that mute knife, and they do not have a character that can use it.
That's their fault for ditching Eddie.
That's true. Okay. Gotta hold out hope for the bard power sometimes there. Job Dwarf confirmed to be a
gets around to making it to. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say ceiling tile installer for Job Dwarf. Thank you, Andale, our tracker, tracking more than just the key items for you tonight, everybody.
Yes, indeed. So, Bursik finding out how rude the Fame Arch is. Pain Man is in Leviathan. I think that was Octomom and Asura. That one's not as bad. Whenever Bursik does get around to getting back to ordeals, those mute arrows versus Asura are going to come in really handy.
Absolutely. And as Antidale also pointing out in chat, DKC at Leviathan is a really good reason to have Edward, because he makes that fight free. If it's not for that, I'm going to look it up really quick. I will tell you how much damage that DKC is going to do per Dark Wave. It's a lot.
I'm expecting to hear something like 11 to 1300. Oh, hey, I am then.
Yeah, the exact numbers are 1131 to 1305.
You don't go through that fight one or more than once or twice without remembering just oof. Oh, hey, Thunderclaw.
Yeah, we got 1 Thunderclaw for 2 Yangs. I guess they're gonna have to share a little bit here. Also of note, Bursik has not found Sirens yet, so still on the hunt for Sirens. Could potentially push him to that Eblin Cave, I think, still. We'll see what else we find, because if we get the Darkness Crystal soon, you can just forget all that and go to the moon instead. Another character check, another shop. Probably your way to go from there, but this is a very awkward situation, I think. That Thunderclaw could be very useful if either of our runners decides to do a Mac Giant grind, as those Mac Giants are weak to the Thunder element, and that's really about the only thing we could hope to do, and Charm Arrows, I guess, actually, too. So there's a few things there. Bet you didn't think you might be seeing a Mac Giant grind tonight. I don't think we're going to see a Mac Giant grind tonight, for the record, but you never know.
No. I'd want something to survive those punches. Something either specifically giant resistant or someone in the back row heavily armored enough to deal with it.
And one Moonveil also works. Yeah, that's true. We've got the possibility here. We got the Adamant and a Power Shirt, so no progress through through those Sheila checks, but another key item, a power shirt, is very useful. So not nothing, but we're still on the hunt for that Darkness Crystal or pass now.
Sathdresh, unfortunately, not able to get past that Asura, but perfectly understandable. Reset all the way. He made sure to keep a save at the bottom of the mountain, and that's the save he chose to reset to, rather than just walk down.
Yeah, it's a good play.
Sorry.
You're fine. Go ahead. Ooh, and Bursik finds the Twin Harp from the Rat Tail, so that could be a chain item. We could get some music here. And I just also think it's worth noting as well, these have been some pretty rude early bosses for our runners. I think Bursik, after his Plague fight, would also agree that that Plague was pretty rude. In addition to the Alt Gauntlet at the Mist Cave is honestly more annoying than rude, but still not what you want to see. That Asura is going to be hard to get through. There's a lot of annoying stuff out there in this seed already, so annoying to really difficult, especially for a DPS challenged party like this.
Yeah, it just kind of goes to show you that you can look at a set of objectives like this, and even when the key items just start falling in, like with that easy pan and having both a magma and a hook on the overworld, there's often still room on these flag sets to make sure that some sort of challenge comes the runner's way.
Sathdresh, you can do it! You can do it, Sathdresh!
The answer's right there!
To be fair, that is a really obscure, difficult strat, as well as it does require some setup. It's not just free right off the bat. I actually don't think he would be able to do that right now. Maybe with the battle speed and the right party positioning, but it's not something I would expect most runners to know.
Yeah, I'm thinking to how I've gotten through Water Hag in that spot, and I'm guessing the answer is Eddie in top slot, someone in the middle slot to make him RA1, crank the battle speed down, make darn sure you get the hide in before the wave hits.
In this case, I don't think you have any way of making Eddie RA1, because all of your characters are also pretty fast. So I think what you would have to do, you'd have to play with the battle speed. You'd have to probably put Edward in the middle slot and just see if he was fast enough to hide in time, but if that wasn't the case, then you wouldn't be able to do it. But hey, just find a curse ring and come on back. You'll be fine.
Kick, Bursik, kick! Yes!
Put your legs into it. That's so satisfying. As someone who loves Kick in the original game, but just I hate how Kick has like almost no uses in the randomizer. So the fact that like we're seeing Kick strats right now is just like absolutely warming my heart.
I love it as well. I'm not gonna lie. The Alt Gauntlet there, the Alt Gauntlet at Kaipo, and getting a Searcher to summon a D machine are probably my favorites.
It's pretty great. It does have some nice uses, and it should be worth noting both runners now have objectives 3 and 4 completed, because Sathdresh has done the pan as well. So, and he's headed back to the Antlion Cave. So we'll see. We'll see if he has better luck with some additional levels here.
Yeah, should go a bit smooth around. More levels on the Yang.
Bursik, we see Bursik tangling here with the inventory boss. Always a difficult proposition. Looking for curse rings. Does also find black belts, but I don't think he wants to pull the trigger on that.
Definite struggle with the party. You've made about every character check you can make, other than the hook dive, and just really want some solid gear. Power Shirt's going to be a big help, but you're going to want every little bit of edge you can get a hold of.
I think it's a really frustrating position to be in for our runners, again, especially in a seed like this that is going to be very, very fast, potentially. You know that there is nothing at the hook route that you actually want, other than the character and the shop check, and those are all just very like dependent on what's in the shop, what's at the character. And so to just like tell yourself to mentally commit to the time it takes to do that check when you don't know if you're going to get paid off is a really, really hard thing for a lot of runners to commit to in a fast race like this.
Yeah, and particularly since there's no source of exit unless they've looted the item or picked it up in a shop somewhere, that makes the time sink even worse.
That's true. Yeah, we don't have that source of exit as well. That's a big problem for our runners. Oh man, Sathdresh just gets through that plague fight. That's awesome. Was that a Yang in the bed?
I thought maybe it was a twin, but it was a quick glance, and I'm not sure. If it was a twin, Hallam? Was the ponytail on the right? Also, might not have been a twin at all. Could have totally been seeing things.
I saw something brown, which is either Yang's head or the back of a twin, so...
If somebody gets a hold of a sand ruby, maybe we can find out for sure. Sathdresh, let's go check in on that rat tail, find the twin heart.
And we got Bursik running up ordeals here. It should be noted as well, Bursik has really expanded the loot advantage here. He's got a samurai bow for his Rosa, for one of his Rosas. He's got that power shirt. He's definitely got some better stuff than when Sathdresh attempted this the first time, so...
We might get a life lock here. Life locking is, for anyone in chat that's not aware, when you hit Asura, her faces spin around, and then on her turn, she'll cast one of 3 spells. Cure 4, Cure 3, Life 1. And if you time your own attacks correctly, you can set it to where the only spell she ever casts is Life 1, and you don't have to worry about all of her nasty healing. Just take some careful time.
Yeah, the trick is you wanna input your attack when that Life 1 comes up, and as long as you do that, it's a pretty generous window. You should be fine.
Yeah, and all of these are fast commands that don't have much ATB charge of their own. Aim, fight. You're trying to pull it off with something that lasts longer, like jump or level 2 elemental spell, you're going to be in for a time. The other advantage of having mute arrows to take on mage weakness is you don't have to keep the rhythm up for very long.
Just to add insult to injury as well, Bursik had mute arrows on both Rosas and also an Elven Bow on one of them for no extra damage, but it was definitely something that worked. I did just see, I'm going to call this out because I mentioned it a little while ago, Sathdresh, and I assume Bursik because it was while I was refreshing, there was a Moonveil on the way up ordeals, so that is it's potentially slow, but if our runners do decide that the way to grind is a Mac Giant grind, if we cannot find Sirens anywhere, that is an option. So, and we've got backwards Pale Noodle here in the Mylon Z spot.
Mid-alap? Side attempt at Pale down backwards.
Middle lap.
Mid-alap, yes. There we go.
Now that being said, that Moonveil is going to be good in for a variety of situations. It doesn't necessarily have to be used just for that. It could be a way to get through a tough underground boss or something like that coming up here pretty soon, because our runners are slowly but surely running out of overworld checks here. Baron in, Twin Harp, and then after that, it's going to be those underground checks. That's all that is on the table right now.
And Pale Dim in this spot, more annoying than a threat. You don't want to use any elemental damage on them, not that there are that many sources of that within this party. So you just have to deal with his attacks and the fact that he's going to hit you with a slow spell every time you hit him with aim.
think I saw a vampire or two there from Bursik. That's a good move. This is definitely the time when you want to start throwing, if you have accumulated any of those J attack items. Definitely, you probably wanted to start dumping them because they're not going to be good for much longer anyway, and you get that little bit of utility out of them, so nicely done.
Absolutely. Perfect sort of fight to use those. He's on his way through, and soon enough we'll be seeing the Ordeal's key item, and unless the boss is extremely rude, we'll see an objective taken care of.
And we'll see a crystal, assuming all of that happens too, because this is going to be the third objective for both runners. Bursik definitely has covered a bit more ground. I don't think has much to show for it, other than a but more well-equipped party and probably a few more levels here. So Sathdresh is still in this for sure, if he can get through these Ordeal's encounters without too much difficulty here.
Definitely. See, the key item is a glass helmet, which is nice gear, but does not give progression, which means that our runners still have a lot of choices to make. We've got a keyless tower play, we've got the dwarf crystal, we've got both the Feymarch bosses, and we've got a twin heart. So you can see some divergence here, and it could very well come down to which runner guesses right.
I think, if nothing else, our runners probably, I think if you're Bursik, for example, I think now that you've got this underway, Sathdresh as well, you need to just take a little bit of a deep breath and think about what your next move is going to be. I would say you definitely want to check Baron in because there's a character there. This would probably be a good time to go do that hook route if you've been putting it off. Maybe spike a good character there. And if your Darkness Crystal is underground, Twin Harp's a tough call. Twin Harp's a lot of time, potentially for nothing, but that could be a big gamble that pays off for somebody here too. Hard to say.
I completely forgot they hadn't done Baron in. That's another key item.
Yeah, if I was prioritizing this right now, because I'm sure both of our runners are really hoping to find either the Darkness Crystal or the Pass here, but barring that, and we know now that that's not the case, I think you have to start thinking about your party and your grind, and prioritizing the checks that maybe you can get through. Like maybe you go to Twin Harp right now, or you go to Twin Harp after Baron in, just because it's the next easiest thing that you can do. And you might not, it might take a little longer, it might be a longer check, but the chance of failing, for example, is much lower. So there is that to consider as well.
Yeah, definitely. Dwarf Castle, probably the next easiest after that, although it is two bosses with a significant amount of hit points, so even if you can get through it, if you don't power up some along the way, it could very well take some time.
And we do not have a white or a black mage yet, so we don't have any way to warp to that second key item check, which is potentially important.
Right.
So
right, and if that was in fact a Palom in the bed, then finding a Sand Ruby and trying to slingshot him up to warp could be a very viable option.
Absolutely, and I like this play from Bursik again. Just kind of, got to reassess here. I think this is a really good play, going and checking Eblan Cave, and we'll see if it pays off, especially as well when you're in a race like this. There's those sirens, by the way. That is huge.
Mm-hmm. It paid off right there. Even if he walks all the way down and completely busts on the character, the sirens alone make it worth it.
Yeah. So at this point, selling everything that's not nailed down, basically, buying tons of sirens to get through here, and yeah, hoping to find a good character at the end here, because this could be, if it's the pass, for example, that we find very soon, that might be it. Like we might just be here, scrambling eggs for a bit. We'll have to see. Sathdresh does get through that Asura fight, very nicely done. Pale Dim up next. Probably going to be another kind of slow fight, I think, for a party like this without a lot of DPS, but I don't think there's a lot of danger there, hopefully. We'll see. Maybe we'll see that Moonveil or something to just make it free. Kind of hard to say at this point. And we're about to see who that Eblan Cave character is as well. That's a white mage. That's a white mage twin.
Yeah, not the twin we're hoping for.
I mean, and at this point, I don't even think you need to go for like the party diversity or like the big slingshot or something like that. I just think you kind of leave that. It was a Baron, or it was a guard's boss as well, so nothing of note there particularly.
Bursik does burn the exit there, but now doesn't have an exit for Cave Magnus, as Invenerable is pointing out.
On the plus side, though, Bursik does have those eggs. It is time to go start cracking some eggs. I don't know how I think we have some hourglasses. That's going to be my. I didn't see coffins, so I'm not sure if there's any way to really get through these efficiently other than those hourglasses. We'll see what Bursik has here. Yeah, hourglasses, it looks like.
Yeah. You get through the first two, get yourself powered up to where you can, if not one-shot them, at least two-shot them so that you're not taking rude thunder counters.
See, now here's a question. I would like to know, why are eggs not weak to hammers? I feel like eggs should be very weak to hammers from Sid. Why is that not a racial weakness of eggs?
Perhaps you could petition for that to be added.
I mean, I think you could argue objectively the best way to crack an egg is with a hammer. Have you ever tried to open an egg with a sword? It is really messy.
I wouldn't fancy trying to take claws to it either, frankly.
Yeah, you just like scratch it all up. I imagine those dragon eggs have a pretty thick shell too, so. Invenerable ruining my jokes as usual. It's okay. I wasn't being that serious anyway.
Bursik, content with one egg, decides to check in on Baron N. Maybe there's a cool character there.
That is two things that we need. We need a demist and we need a black mage. So yeah. This is a good find. Also, at the same time, though, if you're the runner in this situation, you are frankly a little bit terrified because it's 45 minutes into the race and you just found two really valuable things in the same spot that's been available since the very beginning of the seed.
Right. You absolutely have to believe that your opponent has already come to this spot, gotten the black mage that you know is going to pick up the speed of your battles considerably, and made two checks. Although, the seed is not done laughing yet.
Ha! Ha! Ha!
The real terror was the dinner that we had at this inn.
You know, it's customers like this that just make me not want to come back to eat at this establishment more in the future.
Right? I mean, the no pets policy is clearly posted on the door. Anyone that just stops to read can see it. And this jerk insists on bringing his dragon.
Waiter, there's a shadow dragon in my soup.
Please be quiet, otherwise everyone will overhear you and they will want one too.
I'm mentally composing my Yelp review while Bursik gets through this fight. Also, Sathdresh getting through that Pale Dim fight, nicely done. Speaking of fights with noodly dragons.
Yep. That'll get him his crystal, and that will get him a lovely glass helmet. But Bursik having not too much trouble here, which is not really surprising. This is a very slow spot. You've got all the time you need to get your veils up in case you're worried about falling to the spells.
Yeah, it also has 0 magic power, so that's why we saw that Reflected Virus only do about 140 damage to Golbez. A lit 3 not even taking out a freshly raised Yang, so I think Bursik needs to get on the offensive here. Looks like his he had the idea in mind to pick up a Yang and then Berserk, which makes a lot of sense. So that'll get through it pretty quick.
Yeah, if those Yangs still have their original fire claws equipped, Golbez is weak to fire, so that will speed things up considerably. That looks like a fire claw to me.
Absolutely. Well, and also just that one egg helping you get through that fight really easily, because you had the Berserk, you had a lot more hit points. There is the Darkness Crystal. Okay,
No.
we're in go mode. We've got a good party here. This is actually suddenly turned into a really good party, in my opinion. We'll see what Bursik decides to do as far as keeps.
And you imagine, even though seeing both runners, we know that Bursik is well ahead. He got here first, he got go mode first, and he's got better equipment overall and levels than Sathdresh. I imagine he's got to be feeling behind, having faded this spot for so long.
Yeah, I think so too. We'll see if he even remembers. He's not even remembering to go check D-Mist, which I can't blame him. And also he's in go mode now, so maybe not that critical. He's gonna have a nice whacking party here with those two Yangs, lots of hit points on everything. Gonna get that Palom going. This should make the eggs go pretty quick, because you're going to be able to do, like, Quake, for example, will one-shot the eggs pretty easily, especially with a Stardust Rod here. So probably only going to have to do one more egg with an Hourglass. And then I think Bursik is just doing eggs until it's time to go to Zeromus, if I was to guess here.
Yeah, and then pointing out that a pass would be the best thing to find at D-Mist, so that you can just avoid that walk down the LST and the cutscene for the character and launching the whale and all of that jazz. If he had one more key item, I could see him going there to get to 10. By my count, he's got 8. And D-Mist would be a freebie for 9, but I don't really see much else in the way of a quick hope for 10 to get to the double experience.
You could do, and I potentially would consider doing this. The other reason why is, I don't know if Bursik knows this, but I definitely know from experience that 20 Sirens in this case is not going to be enough to get you to, let's say, White and Nuke. Again, this is kind of contingent on doing D-Mist as well, though, but as soon as you get Warp on your Palom, you could pretty easily go do Dwarf Castle and get 2 more key item checks there potentially. So I don't think it's that far removed from getting 10 key items to the point where I would just say, nope, I've got to just sit here on 8 and grind for the next 15-20 minutes. But it's close. I think if you factor in another run to Eblan to get more Sirens, that's not a great proposition right there as well. So also dropping the Sid, I don't think we found Curse String anywhere, so that's going to keep Sid at a low agility, low as you can really get in this situation. I'm a little worried it's still going to be uncomfortably high without even like a Dwarf Axe or something, but we'll see here. We'll see in a little bit when it's Zeromus time, I think. Actually, it looks like he decided to leave that Sid up for now.
There's the warp, so we'll see if that's what Bursik was looking for, because 3 checks to get 2 key items. Agreed, it's definitely not out of the question.
I think seeing that cabin, I think that means we're here for the duration, if I was to guess.
After doing some shopping in Tamra, getting some better gear, gets a Rune Axe, finds Tiara, which always looks lovely on the ladies. might not be the stat boost that a white mage is hoping for, but Rosa's not going to say no to the great defense it offers. Bursik doing a good job switching over to Virus now that his Fat Kid is a lot more powerful. Quake is what he's known for, but when you're at a point where your Halams can one-shot an egg with a Virus, it's got a quicker cast time and a shorter animation, and when you're going through a whole bunch of eggs, that little bit of time on each battle adds up.
Yeah, that should be pretty consistent again, especially with that Stardust Rod to really kind of put the damage over the top here. But yeah, Bursik looking like he's just gonna take this all the way to Z levels. It's gonna be interesting. I wonder if he's gonna stop once Rosa's at a comfortable HP level and the Yongs are pretty well powered up, or if he does want to power through till Nuke. Palom is enabling this grind pretty well right now, but if you don't intend to get Palom to Nuke, he is going to be a little bit more of a liability for this, for the Z fight, for example. So he did throw away a Rosa to get that Palom, so it's going to get him through his grind faster, but ultimately I'm not sure if it's going to help the party a ton at the Zeromus fight if he can't get to Nuke.
Yeah. He's not going to do much in a Z fight without Nuke, absolutely. If he was keeping his Sid up, I would almost suspect that he was going to try-zerk them, and when he got to the moon, just take the base level, whoever character is there, and sub them as an anchor. There are some characters at base level that just won't do as an anchor, but there are a fair amount where that's a valid shot.
Yeah, I think that the situation you're seeing, some of the stuff that's going on right now is just based on the fact, again, that like Bursik absolutely feels like he could be behind right now. And so you're just trying to figure out the quickest way to get levels on your party. And absolutely this is it. So that is very true. But down the road, there are potentially some repercussions to the decision as well. So
it's even in a 1v1, there's a certain, like in group races are a completely different animal as far as guessing goes. In a 1v1, just the guesswork that goes into the things you see, the order you took them, did my opponent take them, and there's definitely a tendency as a racer to assume near the worst. I think anyone that goes by Baron Inn for that long and then finally comes in and finds their darkness and this party upgrade, as you said, absolutely feels behind. And the funny thing is that as viewers, we know that he's in a pretty comfortable position. Sathdresh still hasn't made his way there.
Yeah, yep, that's all definitely very true. So I think ultimately it's going to be okay. But yeah, we'll see how things go here for these next few minutes with Sathdresh as well. We haven't even mentioned the fact, too, that there was an Eddie in this seed, and so you're also feeling, and I don't know how well our runners have scouted each other here, but you could also feel like your opponent might be trying to do Eddie strats right now, and that's even just another thing where that dot done could be coming at any time. Inven pointing out, yeah, 2 Eddies. We had a buy one get one free.
Because the characters have come in pairs, all of them, if that was a Palom in the bed. So 2 opportunities, and some runners that just don't do Eddie strats are like, you know, if my opponent beats me with Eddie, then so be it. GG. But by the same token, that panic could very well be there.
I think while we're seeing Sathdresh shopping and Bursik cracking eggs here, just a good time for a quick shout out to our behind-the-scenes crew bringing you this race tonight. We've got Invenerable on the restream, and Antidale doing the tracking. Thank you very much for helping out tonight. Keeping things moving and running smoothly behind the scenes here, as our runners are battling it out for Again, Sathdresh wanting to get battling for pride here, wanting a win going into the hook route and maybe some momentum. Bursik wanting to lock up that spot in the magma group where there are more tickets to the table than the hook route. So big match for both runners for sure.
Yeah, completely. And thank you all for being here to watch. Thanks for joining us, chat. Little point in putting on a race if people aren't going to show up and watch. Sathdresh taking a quick peek at the Staleman chest, looking for some. Stalemen can occasionally be a little rude here. They smack pretty hard, and if they get you to a point where they just are constantly putting you to sleep, your life can be sad. But at this power level, Sathdresh should get through the fight without too much. Of course, that's what I said about Plague, so what do I know? Oh, hey, see? Apparently I'm not allowed to say fights are easy.
I thought he used an hourglass, so I was confused why they kept attacking there. But that fight's pretty tricky. In addition to the damage, they will also put your characters to sleep occasionally. So it's not an easy fight there. And Sathdresh doing what a lot of us have to do when they open that trap chest and aren't prepared for the consequences, having to take that reset there.
There are plenty of times I just won't even. I will just, the moment I get it, I treat it like the swordsman in the Cave of Summons and just quick reset.
Yeah, same. That's one of those save scum trap chests that you won't see a lot of runners take on, just because it's tricky. But if you have the levels, it's not too bad, and you could potentially get a good item. Unfortunately for Sathdresh, has to redo the shopping here, but does get more sirens, I think, than he originally bought. So hopefully that will be a good thing ultimately, if he doesn't have to like come back here and restock or something like that.
And over with Bursik, it's starting to look like we might be seeing the push to nuke. Hallam just learned Fatal. He's at level 46 now, but as you pointed out earlier, he just doesn't have the sirens he needs to make it all the way. Siren is his next to last, and Hallam needs to be level 52 for nuke.
It's 52, I believe, is right. I remember this very distinctly because we had a World Series of Free Enterprise flag set called the Reject Percent, and Reject Percent, we did a lot of egg grinds, and we needed, not only did we need mage characters typically to learn nuke or white, they also had J spell levels on, so it was even worse. I think Horum learned white at like level 57 and Rydia learned nuke at level 55. I can't remember. I've tried to block that out, but I got very, very familiar with the amount of sirens that it took to get you to those spell levels, and it's a lot. It's a lot more than 20. So now we get to see if Bursik remembers where he bought the sirens from, which, spoiler, was not here.
It's in Eblan. Go to Eblan. Sathdresh in the right spot.
All right, Sathdresh, let's get this Darkness Crystal and a Quack Kid for you. Let's get you on your way. Yeah, Bursik definitely doesn't remember where he got those sirens.
Nope, it's checking everywhere. It's going to slow him down a little bit, and also definitely seems committed to getting Hallam all the way to nuke, because otherwise he could go now if that wasn't his plan. He's got his Cure 4, he's got a lot of hit points on those varieties, but once the extra punch from Nuke to take care of it.
Get the ninja hat. You know you want to. It's gonna make your Palom level, or it's gonna make your Palom 28 agility. Maybe, if you do it right.
Maybe.
That being said, that's a nice upgrade for Yang still as well. The strength rings and the ninja hats on his Yangs are definitely going to help out. In addition to that power robe that the one is rocking there.
Yeah, might not need the agility to hit RA1 off of that Sid, but you get an extra attack multiplier for every 8 points of strength and one for every 16 points of agility. Correct me if any of that's wrong, please. And getting an extra swing when going after Zeromus is definitely not a bad thing.
Yeah, especially with Yang, where so much of the damage is tied to levels and strength. Looks like he's going though. I think he wasn't looking for sirens. I think he was just maybe doing a couple quick checks. Might decide to peek a couple bosses if he's not sure, but also maybe wanting to know who that character is to see if that opens up some other situational options for him when he gets up there. But heading up to the moon here, Sathdresh is about to probably get his Darkness Crystal. Still needs to grind. I think Bursik's in a really, really good position here.
Yeah, I'd definitely say that at this point it is his race to lose, and that things are definitely going very well for him. Be interested to find out from our runners afterwards how they felt when they saw Palom in the inn and when they got that Darkness Crystal and they knew right then that it had been there all the time.
I'm not sure we're going to be able to have the runners repeat what they said on air, but yeah, I'm very curious to hear their answers to that question as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to repeat myself either under those circumstances. Bursik has made their way to Headland and is picking up some more sirens.
So he knew that's where they were.
Yeah, just while he was up there and nearby, and from just taking care of launching the whale while he had a moment.
It's worth noting as well, Bursik does still have those hourglasses because he really only needed to use one of them on that first... Well, he might have used two, but he still has a couple more hourglasses as well. So he should be able to finish that grind no problem if he really does want to get Nuke on that Palom and really just kind of top it off and get it in the bag there as far as his Zeromus fight. But yeah, all these shop checks, it's tough. I'm really, really curious what is going on in the runners' minds right now when they're so close. I mean, Sathdresh has been a Darkness Crystal away now for about 30 minutes. Bursik's been in go mode for probably 20 minutes and also kind of in a similar position there. So yeah, our runners are just they got to be feeling some stress and some pressure here. Some nice Bacchus wines there for Bursik as well, by the way, in the pillow fort there on the moon. So that'll just kind of, you're seeing that win percentage against Zeromus just tick up a little bit more and more the more Bursik makes these checks, but at the same time it's taking time to do it. So
Yeah, it's always the tension through not only for a Z fight but throughout the seed. We saw plenty of times where Bursik had to or decided to make some shop checks, get some arrows early on, and was able to make up that time. But you never know until you actually make the shop check whether it's going to pay off. And then, too, you've got to have the money on hand. And if you buy one thing now, maybe you see something later that you really need. It's not a casual decision at all dealing with shopping percentage.
Oh, definitely not. Not at all. Sathdresh, getting full go mode now, decides to not keep Pal. Oh, it's Edge. Hi, Edge. Bursik just sold the Murasame and the full moon to buy those Bacchus wines. So I think he is very, very quickly. You gotta keep that black belt though, Bursik. Just saying.
I'll always keep Edge's equipment. In fact, I think you might be resetting to do just that.
You're angry. Yes, exactly, Antidale. You are angry with him. Take his stuff. It's also like the one character that cannot anchor for Bursik right now. So that's just got to be frustrating. Oh, he reset. I think he reset. I wonder if he's gonna actually keep Edge.
Or at least take his stuff. There's something about that decision that he regrets. Sathdresh is giving us a quick demiss check, and it's a defense sword, which this party is... Nope, he just wants his stuff.
Hey, there you go. There we go. Exactly. Get that black belt. That'll help out. A little more DPS there.
Oh, yes. Can't always get a power shirt for that karate man. Black belt does very nicely.
Firebird in chat pointing out he's 15 minutes in the past because our runners, as a reminder, are on a 15-minute delay here. I'm just going to point out, and this is not me tooting my own horn or anything, but I did a little preview of the flag set or anything, and that's such an uncommon thing. But because of the way that the character checks in this format work, where you do get to see so many characters and dismiss most of them, there are actually situations where you do just want to keep a base level character stuff. And I remember I wrote that in mainly just because it was like, okay, this is something new that we haven't really had to think about before, but keep Edge's stuff. Because I can't even think of a format before this one where we would throw away an Edge unless you were literally going to Zeromus like this, but it's very, very uncommon, so... So I'm thinking that's what Bursik remembered, because Bursik, I'm sure, read all of that. He's a friend of mine, and I'm sure he took meticulous notes.
I remember reading as well, Moonblaze. It's very helpful. Sathdresh is opting for more checks, looking to try and maybe get to 10 key items. Doesn't have a black mage, so he's not going to be able to work Glitch, but he can at least get the key item from Luca, and we can find out what Dwarven fashion is today.
Now, I'm pretty sure, I don't see it on the tracker, I think that the Demist item was actually the Legend Sword, but I'm not sure. Oh, a defense sword. I saw the sword icon. Okay, so it wasn't a key item anyway.
Oh.
All right, and kind of as expected here, Bursik taking care of a couple golden snacks, and gonna be, I think this will probably be enough to get Nuke on his Palom. So this probably will be the last fight. Maybe one more after this that Bursik has to do before that Zeromus fight.
Yeah, Bursik absolutely in the driver's seat, and the biggest difference, I'd say, is the shopping, and is just better equipped in a few key fights that, even with his equipment, still took him a while, but ended up taking Sathdresh significantly longer, and over time, each of those fights added up.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that assessment. I think Bursik, and again, this was a really weird seed, I think, for our runners to come into, because you see those objectives, you know, okay, my first objective 2 and objective 3 are free. As soon as I see the pan, I've got everything I need except for my moon access. get the pan as the starting item, and suddenly you're off. It's like, whoop, good luck. Hope everybody has a fun time with this seed. And those are really tricky conditions to play in, especially in a big match like this for our runners. So I totally think that Bursik was able to kind of maintain that composure, especially through that early game where we had some rude bosses and not a very good party. Like, let's just not lose sight of that as well. And yeah, found some good items to help get through. Took that Sid early, which was I think definitely paid off in a couple fights that we were very noticeable on stream because he got through them while Sathdresh was still working on them in a couple different situations. So
yeah, he came into that antlion fight behind Sathdresh and finished it before him, and his Asura fight went a lot smoother with those mute arrows. And it is when he really built his lead, and he was just able to leverage it throughout.
Yep, he started grinding a little earlier, had a much easier time with that as well. So yeah, just very, very solid play from Bursik all throughout the seed, for sure. So, and looks like, again, he is headed to Threemus now, got that nuke on Palom, so should be in pretty good shape here. This seems like a pretty good setup. Not knowing the agility situation for sure, but I think with the two Yangs and the Rosa should be okay. We'll see. I don't know. Ugly Threemus fights can be pretty ugly, so...
Never want to take Threemus for granted, because that's a good way to get humbled. But if someone handed me this party and said, go kill Threemus, I'd nod and say, all right, let's make it happen.
I think so too. Rosa just adds a lot of safety here, as well as Yang actually. For all the Yang in this format, not my favorite character, but you can't argue with that hit point pool. And Bursik's managed to find some pretty good gear for him here as well. For both of them, honestly, they should both be very contributing members in this Z fight. So
yeah, it takes a lot of work to get Yang built up. I mean, we call him a punch mage for a lot of reasons. And one of those reasons is you're going to have to work him about as hard as you're going to work a mage to get them ready for a Z fight.
All right, and we see those Z flags in chat. Chat filling up with those Z flags. If you got those Z flags, make sure you let them fly here as Bursik heads down to the Threemus fight. And we have a very important question to ask.
We do. And that question is, whose butt are we going to kick tonight? And the
Indeed. It is 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. There have been many butts kicked today. It was a very busy day in the Highway to the Threemus Zone League. But we got another butt for you. We're going to kick it good. Bursik's gonna go ahead and take care of that for us here.
Yeah, 3 characters that should have a very good chance of surviving the Big Bang unnerfed. Don't see too much trouble. Sathdresh having finished off Dwarf Castle. I didn't see what he got, if anything, but it doesn't look like it was a key item, so he's going to settle in for his grind.
Yeah, I think he had to take a reset, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
Egg's very prudent choice here, though. Get that DPS up. If you're feeling like your party's kind of weak and the game gives you eggs, scramble them. Good tip for newer runners of the game or people looking to improve their times. What's Sid's agility situation like? Marilyn asking in chat. I think we're about to find out. If I had to take a stab at it, I would say not great, but maybe it might be okay. It's probably in the low teens.
But that's a beefy looking party. Even Palom is all the way up to 1800. Rose is sitting on 2400. I would be amazed if a Big Bang took her down at all. It would have to be one of the really high roll ones, and she'd have to botch her magic.
Or this could happen.
Or you could lead into it with a nuke. Is this my role as commentator? Every time I say, this particular situation is fine, the game goes, but did you consider?
He's managed to pull it out though with that Cure 4. Really heads up play, by the way, using that Cure 4 because it does have the fastest cast time. So it's gonna take some more MP, but it is guaranteed to top off your party member, and it is going to go fast.
Whatever the agility situation might be, Bursik seems to have the situation under control. Already has a nuke bouncing off a wall before we even see a nerf coming back. It's part of the joy of those Bacchuses, as you pointed out. You get your fighters zerked up faster, they start getting their attacks in faster, those attacks start filling up the queue, and you're able to enter more actions before Zeromus gets anything done.
It's also worth noting here for Bursik that Bursik did set the battle speed to 3 before the fight, which is probably going to help out make the fight a little bit safer as well here.
Yeah, I'd missed that move, but that's definitely a nice play. Gives you even more time as far as menu inputs and getting everything done. I'm continuing to hit hard with the nukes. He's got a Stardust Rod, and he's got some very impressive wisdom growth on his own, even without it.
Sathdresh, by the way, while Bursik continues here, running into a little bit of trouble, or at least a slower go with these eggs. He did not opt to keep that Palom, which we said with Bursik was a really good way to get some quality egg attacks off, but Sathdresh opting for the second Rosa, which I can't really blame him for as well, but it does leave you in a little bit of a more tricky situation as far as taking these eggs out.
Yeah, signaling a strong commitment to Berserker strats with that, and given that he hasn't seen Bacchus yet, might be thinking long run towards the end. I'm going to try and take him down with these Berserkers, and I would like a second source of Berserk to make that happen quickly.
Can't argue with that.
And we have our rocks. Rosa dodging rocks, as Rosa is wont to do.
There we go.
There it is.
GG's to BursikBadger, finishing in first place and locking up that berth in the magma group with a 2-1 record. Finishing time of 1:20:45. Lots of GG's in chat. Very nicely done by Bursik.
And we're joined in here by BursikBadger. Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
So you've had 15 minutes now since the race ended because you were on a little bit of a delay. How fast was your heart racing at various points during that seed? Because that was quite the roller coaster.
That felt like the slowest 80 minutes of my life. Like that, as weak as that party was at the start, and then doing, I think 23 eggs total, 20 of them on actual egg, well, 20 eggs and 3 gold dragon fights. But I really underestimated what bare knuckle Yangs were gonna do. I had good gear for them, just not weapons. I think I had 1 poison claw between 2 Yangs. So They were hitting harder than I expected. I did not need to go for nuke on Palom, I'd say.
No, but it was a nice safety play, and it let you get some more hit points on Rosa, which came in handy when Threemus decided that she deserved a counter nuke.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that got really... If I hadn't done those gold dragons, I think that would have taken her down.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of like, if I knew then what I know now, kind
Yeah.
of going on in that seed. Because wow,
Oh my goodness.
all that running around underground, all that looking for stuff, and then the darkness crystal and the Palom, which you hadn't seen at that point, were both at the Baron Inn.
Yeah.
And the D-Mist. I mean, I'm sure when you walked in there, you were just like not feeling great to begin with, and then when you got the darkness crystal, that was probably a really scary moment.
Yeah, well, I felt good seeing him there, because then at least like, okay, I have warp if I have to do dwarf, because I'm like, I don't want to miss out on that warp glitch if there was a black mage somewhere else, and you know, I skipped it, or I did dwarf first, but yeah, getting the darkness crystal, then it's like, oh gosh, everything like Fabul and Baron Inn, and that was it. That was the entire seed. Like,
It's
Yeah,
tricky
it's-
sometimes. I know it's gotten me before. You get that underground access, you go there for the freebies, and the number of times that I've left Baron in behind because I was busy checking freebies, and
yeah, I was worried about doing enough damage for the second fight in the end, just because I mean I was hitting for maybe 300 each, and you know, if I got something spooky, like, well, not a Golbez, that's just a troll, but
yeah, they're Bygone DMs come to mind as rude, stabby bosses in that spot. And you don't know, you go in, what you're up against.
yeah.
Yeah, I think there was also just you potentially could have found the sirens a lot sooner too, and then that was another one where it was like you found those after checking a bunch of other places, and that really kind of unlocked the seed at that point. But again, when you know how quickly potentially you could get there versus when you did get there,
Yeah, I really felt like I was constantly like, oh, should I go there? Should I go there? You know, I want to see that character, which like I didn't need a forum, but yeah, thankfully those were accessible at all in the seed.
It's-
Quick after you got done, were you able to loop around and visit Edward in the hospital for music?
I did, yes.
Awesome.
very nicely done. So Bursik, you are 2-1. I also just have to point out, because I watched the race and it was fantastic, that your one loss came to PK by I don't remember, it was like 5 minutes or something like that, probably less than that.
It was less than 1 minute.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Actually.
So yeah, you were less than a minute away from being 3-0. You're headed to the Magma group. There's a lot of really good players in the Magma group, but I think clearly you've shown that you belong in that group. How are you feeling about that right now?
I'm glad I made it. But yeah, like you said, really good players in there. Like, man, yeah, like something, and seeing like so many of my practice seeds were hook seeds, and getting so much, like I want to say like all three of my races were pretty. No, two of them were really jetty. This one and the one against PK. Or not PK. Yeah, PK. So hopefully I can roll a few more of those and get a little more practice at these fast ones.
And maybe a little more practice with the low DPS at the beginning. This flag normally is not so rude between C Relaxed giving you a good chance at edge or other DPS options, and T Wildish probably giving you a solid melee weapon, a good melee character, but not today.
Oh yeah, seeing that edge after I'd been holding on to like a full moon and a Murasame for a good half an hour, and then he's up on the moon after my grind is done. Can't use you, dude. Sorry.
It was definitely a bit rude.
Never
Like
saw a
that,
Kane
yeah,
or a
the
Cecil
present.
either, and you had a defense sword. I think you were lugging around the entire seed pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
We like that you had the presence of mind after walking through the check and probably saying something unrepeatable to that edge, going, "Wait a minute, I might want that black kit."
Give me your shirt. Just take off your shirt and be on your way.
How'd you feel about anchoring that Z fight?
I felt like it was probably going to be okay with the ninja hats. Sid got, I think, one more egg than I wanted him to. I think he finished. There was one egg fight where he had like 5 HP left, and like shoot. But yeah, I don't think that added too much to him. I mean, I only got one shake before I got to use the crystal, so that's usually a decent sign as long as you're not getting 2 there. That two is really spooky.
Yeah, but even with the arguably the worst possible counter nuke you could have had in terms of a target, you still got the Cure 4 out quick and got the fight under control pretty fast.
Yep.
And now you're the people's champion, serenading us with "Interrupted by Fireworks" from Final Fantasy VII. So thank you so much for doing that as well.
Good, sure.
I've got nothing else for you, Versik, other than congratulations on making it to Magma and avoiding the dog pile that is going to be very crowded hook races for those of us that are fortunate enough to pull off at least 2 wins.
Yep, thanks. I mean, there's still good players down there. Some of the groups.
Oh yeah.
Like it's just yeah. I mean, when you've got somebody who was at least one person from the Blue Gauntlet brackets in every group, then I mean, the odds that somebody might go 3-0 and a couple people are just going to get unlucky. And sometimes just randos get a rando. Like there's still really good players down there.
Oh yeah, I've seen a fair amount of people manage to 3-0 and go straight to table ups to them, and seen some downright amazing runners end up 2-1 into the Magma group, and that still leaves plenty of people that are solid runners in their own right hanging out in the hook group. Getting 2 wins in that hook group is not going to be a gimme for any.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you don't have to worry about that.
You just have to worry about getting two wins in the Magma group.
Yeah. That is definitely not a gimme. Oh gosh.
Well, good GG's on the race again tonight, Bursik. I know that you've been practicing pretty hard and playing a lot of seeds these last couple weeks, so I'm glad you were able to get a good result out of this first round. I think you would agree, all things considered. I know you've been volunteering a lot with the Restream team as well, so thank you for that. And just anything else you want to add before we let Sathdresh finish up here?
No, I think we covered everything. Just yeah, thanks for the Restream. I mean, thanks to the Restream team, to all the Restreamers out there. Hopefully I can get in the booth one of these times. Just do more than just tracking. But that's been my own fault.
Well, we'd love to have you behind the mic. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I know we're good friends, so I'd definitely be happy to commentate with you sometime, and I'm sure Leonhardt feels the same way.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, I think Sathdresh finished up his grind now. I didn't quite catch where he landed as far as levels and stuff, but is back for more shopping, getting some ninja hats, getting some strength rings, presumably. Looks like everybody's in the low 40s, so probably still some more work to do, but might need to go reload on sirens if I was to guess. Looks like he has one more. So yeah, maybe just gearing up here for the next phase of the seed.
Yep, could very well be the case. Without that Hallam on hand, he might go for it sooner. It should be enough levels to put Rosa at Cure 4, and he might be content with the hit points and damage levels on his characters to make the play now.
Would be interesting to see a low-level Z fight here, and we do see him headed towards Mysidia, so that might be what he's thinking. Let's see here. While the whale emerges again, I just want to quickly run through our restream upcoming matches for tomorrow. We got another full slate of matches for you coming tomorrow. We've got Slippery 42 versus Cassidy Moan at 8 p.m. Eastern. Also at 8 p.m. Eastern, we've got Zyrak versus Logos Ethos Pathos. And then we've got at 8:30 Eastern, Antidale versus Porsyth. And at 9 p.m. Eastern, this one will be on Free Enterprise. The other ones will be on the Randomania family of networks. Thank you, A Stone Dingley. I knew that was a runner that had a few names. There's another one here, Summoning Sea Pepper, who I know is somebody else as well, versus actual JP. So that's Dr. Cossack. That's going to be on Free Enterprise at 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So 8 p.m., 8 p.m., 8:30, and 9 p.m. Get a bunch of monitors. Get them all tuned in to the different restream matches that we have tomorrow, and fill it up to the brim with Free Enterprise for another evening of Highway to the Threemus Zone action. We got Mooney coming in with a raid. Thank you very much for that. Welcome, welcome. We're just watching Sathdresh finish up here. Bursik has got the win and gone to 2-1 on the event.
Yep. And Sathdresh not too far from finishing up. Going ahead. He's seen the done, but he's going to finish this out.
Also, just a quick tournament update, especially for those interested in the other groups. And this does not include any results from today, as far as I know. So, but folks who have moved on to the table phase already with the 3-0 record here in the first group stage. Coffee and Chocobos, Mechalink, Possumorpheus, Pirelli, Xenocat, 823543, Dragus, some guy named Moonblaze Wolf, Project Dia, X Pankraz, Aizen Tayama, Dusty Griff, Gaming with a Wraith, PK 4787 have all moved on to the table phase already with those perfect 3-0 records. I think we've had a few more. Oh yeah, Invenerable's already there too. He was waiting. He actually set the table for everyone. It was actually really polite of him.
And yeah, the 4 simultaneous restreams, it's going to be pretty hype, like you said. There have been a lot of people volunteering their time to help out with comms, tracking, restreams, to be able to get so many matches out here for you all to watch. And we're all happy to be here helping out with the tournament and glad that you're all enjoying yourselves.
It's been really nice too, just to get. We've made it our goal to try to get all of the runners onto Restream at least once, and I think we may have missed a few people in the preliminary phases, especially due to the early weeks of the tournament when a lot more people were getting their races scheduled. But I know in this race, I think this was the first race for both runners to be on Restream, so we're really trying to get everybody featured. What did we end up with, Inven? It was like 120 something racers in the tournament. We had a lot of folks. So yeah, 117. I was close. You could round that to 120. So when I said 120 something, I feel good about that estimate.
Close enough for Restream.
They don't pay me to count. Also, they don't pay me.
Oh. That must mean the job is fun. Sathdresh is going to take a quick peek at the Murasame altar on their way down. Could want the levels, could want the loots.
Oh, I really hope he has a hourglass still.
Yeah, because this is going to be stabby if he doesn't. There is still a King Queen Evelyn still out in the world, correct?
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of free bosses. That was one of the hallmarks of this seed, was just that there were a lot of pretty rude bosses early on, especially for a low DPS party. I think Sathdresh, if he's got I'm pretty sure he's got a boss tracker up, probably sees stuff like Dark Imps, King Queen Evelyn, Water Hag, not lit up on there, and maybe hoping to find something agreeable that way for a bunch of free XP, basically.
Yep, maybe just looking for a little more power on the roses. Those might be able to roll up Big Bang and get it down below 1700, but it can very easily take her down at this level. Absence of any method of taking down imps by neutralizing them outright. He's just punching through with his fighters and keeping them up with his 2 white mages, and it looks like he's getting through.
Good deal, good deal. And yeah, Inven pointed out in chat, size would have been a really nice play here as well. So just a tip for anybody watching who didn't notice that, or a tricky fight like this. This fight is actually not that easy if it's in a spot that's got a lot of physical attack, or like a moon spot with this. There's a lot of free ways to get through it, a lot of cheesy ways to get through it, but the amount of those that is available to you in a party like this is, especially with those roses, you're going to have that option if you can keep Rosa up for a little bit.
Yeah, it would make the fight quicker, because the Dark Imps don't have that dreaded boss bit that grants immunity to so many different status effects, and when you come across someone that has that, knowing the various ways to exploit that is very useful. We've got 2 imps down, and there goes the 3rd one.
Nicely done there. Get some more XP there.
1 level for everyone, and an Avenger. That would be wonderful if we had seen a single Kane or even Cecil anywhere in the scene. Or even an edge to throw it. Oh, right, we did see an edge. We just found him far too late to take him.
Yeah, that was like the one. I guess we had the Palom. We found 2 kind of like quote unquote marquee characters in the seed, and we found both of them very, very late. So put our runners in a bit of an awkward situation, I would say, in terms of how to navigate through this seed.
Yeah, this seed hasn't exactly been known for the sort of rude opening. A lot of things came together in terms of the characters that were around and the bosses that got dealt into particular spots to really slow things down in spite of the objective list. Sathdresh is marching on down. We'll see if he feels up to taking another fight somewhere for levels, or if he's going into Z now. onto the Crystal Sword altar. For a moment, like he was going to head on over, doubles back, and wanders over here. So once another boss, once another character check, or key item check, rather.
Can't blame him. Get some more XP. Maybe get to 10 key items or closer to 10 key items before you get to the very bottom of the thing here. The lunar thing. Ooh, this is gonna hurt though.
Yeah, you never want to see this guy on the moon, even in one of the quote-unquote easier moon spots. Yeah, you just reset right out of that real fast, Sathdresh.
Can't blame him trying to find free, but this seed just continues to serve up the rude bosses.
Maybe King Queen Eblin was vanilla. I'm normally really happy to see King Queen Eblin in the vanilla spot when I have to dive that hook route, but this was a magma seed, so that would not be helpful at all.
No, I do hope he finds something free and easy down here, though. That would be good at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely want to see him tack on a few more levels and be able to comfortably finish this seed here.
Yeah, just get your roses to the point where they can handle an unnerfed Big Bang so that you're not relying on that to get you through the fight. Oh, hey, there they are.
Finally, a good curse. About the only thing you could say about this spot being a bad curse is it's the lowest of the XP spots on the moon. But hey, XP is XP at this point.
Yep. The freest fight in the game. King Queen Eblin will throw a few fire spells before they regain conscious and then fade away into nothingness. Hopefully this will be enough to give everyone in the party another level, and we'll see if there's some shiny gear or if it's something more.
The unfortunate thing about this party is that there's honestly like nothing you could actually get here that you would be interested in. I think the best you could hope for would be like an Artemis bow or something like that.
Right. Maybe normally when I'm gearing up for Z at this level, at some point I stop thinking about offense and start thinking about defense. So like in Sathdresh's shoes, if I had seen a white shirt, for instance, my eyes would have lit up. I'd have slapped that on one Rosa and felt a lot more comfortable about her surviving some big bangs. But nope, just a pink tail.
Yeah, still beneficial, but just not the crystal swords and the Excaliburs of the world. All right, and Sathdresh finds Mylon Z here at the ribbon spot, and I think at this point we are going to go ahead and we are going to join Sathdresh in progress over on his channel. So if you're looking to watch the end of his run, we're going to take you right to him. Cheer him on, support him in that emote only. He will be in that 15-minute delay still as well. So, but we're going to head on over there in just a second here. Commander Leonhardt, it has been very fun doing comms with you again tonight, my friend. Thank you very much for joining me on the mics tonight.
Hey, thank you for joining me as well, Moonblaze. Always wonderful when you get to do comms with a friend. It's just hanging out and chatting. It's good times.
Exactly. Watching some free Enterprise together, hanging out, watching a good race. And congrats to our runners again tonight. Bursik on the win, going to 2-1. Thank you again as well to Invenerable and Antidale working behind the scenes. Please make sure to give everybody on the Restream team and our two featured runners a follow tonight. And we will see you all again tomorrow. We got, again, 4 more Restreamed races coming at you tomorrow night. So thank you again for joining us tonight, everybody, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.